Well, hello friends, this is Tommy Oakes and this is the Story Break. Once upon a time there was a very wealthy man named Carl. He considered himself a self-made man and he owned a lot of property. He owned a lot of houses. He had sharecroppers who lived on his farms. And periodically he would get on his horse and just ride around and survey his property and his holdings and his farms and visit his sharecroppers and feel pretty good about himself. Well, one day he was out riding and he saw one of his sharecroppers, an old man by the name of Hans, who was sitting under a tree with what looked like one little piece of bread and one little piece of cheese and something to drink, and he had his head bowed and he was obviously praying. Well, Carl rode up to him and said, "What you doing, Hans?" Hans said, "Oh, I was just thanking the Lord for all the good things in my life. Isn't this a wonderful meal?" Well, Carl went, "If that's all I had to eat, I don't know if I'd give thanks or not." And Hans said, "Well, life is really good for me, and I'm thankful to be up and around and to have this good cheese and bread for my lunch today. And I'm so glad you came by, Mr. Carl, because I wanted to find you today and tell you about a dream that I had last night." Carl said, "A dream?" Hans said, "Yes." He said, "I was in a place, it was beautiful, it was quiet and peaceful, and I heard a voice saying, 'The richest man in this valley will die tonight.' Then I woke up, and I was going to go find you today and tell you that dream." Well, Carl said, "That's just a stupid dream. It doesn't mean anything. Get on about your work." But what Hans said kind of bothered Carl a little bit. He began to think about that, and he thought, well, maybe I don't feel so good. I don't know. He said the richest man in the valley was going to die tonight, and it bothered him all day. It bothered him so much that early that evening he called his doctor and said, "You got to get over here and examine me." Well, he told the doctor about the dream that Hans had had. The doctor said, "Oh, that's just a bunch of foolishness from a poor farmer. Let me examine you." So the doctor examined him and he said, "Look, your heart is good, your health is good. You are as healthy as that horse you ride. You're not going to die tonight." Well, Carl said, "I don't guess so." Along about that time, there was a knock at his door. And he opened the door, and one of his other tenant farmers was there, and he said, "I understand the doctor's here. He needs to come quick because Hans just died this evening." Well, friends, that's the story break for today. Thanks for coming. See you next time.